Hello and welcome back to OT, the podcast. We're here to talk about watches, we're here to talk about time, and how to spend it. I'm Andy Green.
I'm Felix Schultz. Happy New Year?
Yes, 2021. And welcome to Season 2 of OT, the podcast as well, we should say.
New cover art. Who dis?
I know, we've had all this time off, lounging in the sun.
I've got a tan.
Re-energized.
A perma-tan.
You've got
I'm
a tan. Growing your hair out. Yeah, you are like a lizard. All you need is a super yacht and you're ready to go.
That was a few weeks ago, mate. What's been going on?
Oh, mate, we're joking about having some time off. We've been churning all the way through. It's looking like 2021 is going to be a big year for you and I, and it certainly is for the show. So
hopefully, I think we should probably sort of say this. Hopefully, it turns out better than 2020 on the balance of things as well.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
But I think it's looking good, Andy. Do you know why?
I think so.
Do you know why I think it's looking good?
Well, I think you're about to tell me.
Yeah, I was sort of setting up that question. You were going to go, no, why? Why is it going to look good? But yeah,
Why is it looking good?
Thank you. We've got an exceptional guest. We thought we would start the bar high. It's official. Every other guest from here on out is downhill.
Wow.
Any thoughts who it could be?
I actually haven't checked our calendar invite today, so I have no idea.
Ellen DeGeneres, maybe. Barack Obama.
Justin Bieber?
Justin Bieber, yeah, he's into watches. No, better than all of those people.
Better?
Mm-hmm.
Who could it be?
The one and the only, the founder of RedBar, the guru of gurus, the poster of feet, Adam Craniates himself.
Wowee. That's a guess to start 2021 with, isn't it?
I think it's a good way. Like, also in all seriousness, like he might lack some of the star power of Ellen DeGeneres, but he's a great and lovely and passionate human, and I think he's a really good way to start a new positive year. So let's before we get into it, Andy, is there anything that's been floating your boat, or you've been not really?
For me? It's too early in the year for me to get excited about anything, but I know you've got something you're just busting.
Yeah, I did some. It's one of those stories that that you read. Well, I don't know if you read. I read it fairly frequently because it's just really, really good. It's one of those. Someone that writes about watches. I occasionally seek inspiration from other people, and this is one of those.
It's very nice of you to say.
Well, this is like, long form journalism. Like, you're telling a story, you're weaving in watches and politics and the socio-cultural bingo bango. This article has it all.
What's the article?
Well, it's an article called 1969: The Year That Changed Watchmaking Forever.
Fascinating.
It's a great article. 1969 was, as I'm sure we're all aware, a very important year for watchmaking because they released the automatic chronograph in not one, but two, but three brands came out with it. But
Zenith
also,
was one. Who were the others?
Zenith.
Hoya?
Yes, the Chronomatic from Hoya and Buren and Breitling and those guys. And Seiko was the third. Seiko also did something else important in 1969. Do you know what it was?
I have no idea.
Quartz watch, baby. They released it.
Yes.
Quartz Revolution kicked off.
Initiating the crisis.
Revolution, please. It depends on who you're asking.
And yet all these people love Seiko. Look at what they did. Look at what they tried to do.
Well, they made the watch industry better.
Yeah, they sure did. I love Seiko.
But there's a little bit of a story. So it's by Chris Hall, who's a lovely, lovely guy. He's a UK writer. And he wrote it for QP magazine. It's a magazine that I wrote a few pieces for. It was really, really great. Tim Barber and a lot of like really Nick Fulks, one of the really good UK publications. It disappeared a little while ago. Hearst, I believe, owned it, and they decided it made no sense to have a dedicated watch magazine, so they sort of cancelled it. It was a bit sad. I got very sad when I went to sort of search for it in my search bar, and I got an error 410 on the whole QP site.
Whoa.
They just pulled the site down, but luckily it lives on in Esquire. So
okay,
they've just changed it to a different masthead, for SEO. But it's a really, really great read. You should read. Oh, it also talks about the Concorde. How can you not like that?
Done. Souls.
Yeah.
And Apollo 11 as well, I think.
Probably. The moon landing. Duh, that happened in 1969. Duh. I think we should stop talking about 1969. Start talking about the future.
The future involves a quick ad break and then a chat with the one, the only Adam Craniates.
This episode of OT the Podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, Longines. We've spoken a bit about their Spirit line, so today we thought we'd mix it up and have a look at one of their recent releases.
Which one's that, Felix?
The Longines Legend Diver in bronze.
Bronze, baby. Exactly. It's a watch that I had on loan for a little while last month, and it genuinely surprised me on the wrist. Watch fans love the Longines Legend Diver, and this new release in bronze certainly made a splash when it was first dropped.
Indeed. Now, Andy, what exactly did you love about it?
Well, firstly, the clean dial, which is unlike other Legend Divers, it doesn't have a date. That aside, the bronze case is, of course, very cool. And with a watch like this, though, it's really about the dial color. And it's really interesting. At first, you would say maybe green with this sort of outward gradient, but come night, it's almost black. And it really blends in with the inner bezel. You know, green and bronze go together like Felix and Andy. And with the pink gold hands, those are just the cherry on top. Another nice touch, the domed crystal. Overall, though, this is a piece that when you strap it on, you can immediately tell that the finer points have really been thought out. From the detail on the crown to the engraving on the case back, it's just a nice package. Everything feels really balanced and symmetrical.
Sounds great, Andy. Talk to me about the specifications.
Do you want to know the price first?
Nope, no, I'm good. I am on longines.com right now, and I can see that it is 4475 Aussie dollars. Like I said, hit me with those vital statistics.
1-2 punch. All right. So yeah, for 4475 Aussie, you're getting the Longines Legend Diver in the 42mm case, which is titanium on the case back. It's waterproof to 300 meters and features an internal rotating bezel. Like I said, the hands and markers have been treated with the finest Swiss Superluminova, and it's sold on a really nice brown leather strap. Obviously, it's an automatic watch. The movement L888. That's giving you 64 hours of power reserve.
That's pretty decent. Who is this watch for, Andy?
Yeah, so this is a watch, being in bronze, it carries a heap of personality on the wrist. Given the diving nature of the Longines Legend Diver, it screams weekend. And I think these days you can really get away with sort of 9-to-5ing a bronze watch. So if perhaps you're looking for a unique watch that's built to last, that's going to develop and collect some patina along the way, the Legend Diver in bronze is going to be an excellent choice. And as you know, sort of that bronze patina is going to be unique to you and your watch.
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good way to build a bond with your bronze watch. So head to longines.com to discover the collection today and even buy it online. We'll link it up, of course, as well as all those beautiful pics you took and, we're all across our Instagram and everywhere.
And don't forget the free shipping and 24-month warranty when you buy directly from Longines online.
Let's get back to that show.
Felix, It is a new year.
Mm-hmm.
Got a confession?
You've broken your New Year's. What are those things you make at New Year's?
Worse, I've broken the space-time continuum. This interview is actually from very late in 2020. We talk about a few things that will date it, so let's just fess up. Let's just admit to it. Don't try and lie to the listeners.
I think we actually get pretty specific about the date that we recorded it because some fairly significant American political events were about to happen.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. I think everyone knows what we're talking about and what happened. But I think without further ado, let's ring Adam's bat phone and get him on the line. Today's guest is I'm going to call him a pioneer in the watch world. He's famous for pulling together hundreds of thousands of watch enthusiasts, maybe millions, with a crew you might have heard of called RedBar.
Yep.
When he's not hosting meetups, which he hasn't been doing much lately, you'll find him warming his feet by the fireplace or down at Cowgirl Seahorse having a Bloody Mary. Adam Craniates, it's good to have you.
Appropriate too these days.
Yeah, depending how the next few days go.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of drinking, but thank you, gentlemen. First of all, for that lovely introduction.
Heartfelt.
Dare I say billions?
Yeah, could be. Prove you wrong.
Yeah, definitely dozens. And I'm comfortable stating that as a fact. Definitely dozens of people. But yeah, otherwise everything is, yeah. If I'm not doing that, then I'm basically sitting by a fire, warming my feet, plural, because I got two of them,
Mm.
Mm.
or Bloody Marys at Cowgirl Seahorse, which I did, Andy. I did drag you there,
Yeah.
but you're not much of a drinker, so I think I
He's
drank it for you.
changed.
Yeah, I've changed since then. And there's Bloody Marys, and then there's the Bloody Marys that you drink, and
Oh yes,
those are strong. Those were strong.
it's the drink that eats like a meal.
That's like, yeah, yeah. I remember. I think you actually like ate the radish
Yeah.
out of it.
Mm.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
no,
50%
yeah.
radish.
It's
Yeah,
about, yeah, that's about 50% horseradish. If the fork doesn't stand up in it, you got to put more in. It's not good for your ulcer though. I'll tell you that that's a problem.
High
yeah,
acidity.
sure. Andy, you've
All
got
right.
some
Well, Adam.
you got some hot fire questions. You got some.
Yeah, we got half a dozen
Oh
hot fire
crap.
questions
Okay.
Let's
to
go.
hit you with.
Quick. Do
Don't
it.
overthink it.
All right. Who is Adam Craniates?
Carbon-based bipedal life form who
Star Trek fan.
likes Star Trek fan, loves watches, and is, as I like to say, maintains a 24/7 sheen of inebriation.
Oh.
Slightly concerning. All right. Why is David Hasselhoff so important to you? And do you think we should petition to swap the slightly creepy GPHT trophy to one of David Hasselhoff?
Okay, well, just to answer the second part first, yes. And to go back to the first part, he's, I think, the avatar for every fully realized human being. Doesn't take himself too seriously, loves the hell out of what he's doing, and he's also gorgeous. So there.
Well, your feed is full of pictures of David Hasselhoff and pictures of Wristies. Will you ever combine the two?
If I could, I trust me. I've reached out to him in many uncomfortable ways. So I feel like there's a protection order, but I hope springs eternal in the human heart. So
We'll
never
see.
say never. Yeah, never say never.
Well, speaking of, you've got a lot of famous friends. Will you ask Sean Stockman to come on the podcast?
Yes, I will.
Amazing. Felix?
How about Aldous?
Yeah, yes, I will.
Maybe.
Eric Singer?
Yes, I will. I'll ask all of them, and we'll do a group chat. Yeah,
cool.
We're done.
So
Okay,
if
later.
you just send us those emails, we're done with recording now. Thanks very much.
Well, I got another question. How is
Mhm.
Dennis going? It's been a while since we've seen him.
Who going? What?
Dennis.
Oh God.
cat.
I forgot about him, and that was a good thing. So yeah, Dennis is my sister's cat. His full name is Dennis the Menace, and there's no hiding from him, and there are no boundaries. Personal space is a concept, and one not to be taken seriously, apparently by him. I can't travel. Obviously, none of us can. So I haven't been to Los Angeles to stay with her. And ostensibly to stay with him. So I feel good about that. But he's there. He's doing fine apparently, and he's just sharpening his claws, waiting for me. So
Well, we've got a surprise for you. He's actually on the line.
no,
Dr. Phil style.
Dennis, I didn't mean anything you just said. I didn't mean that. I love you. It all comes from a place of love.
One last hot take question.
Mm-hmm.
How is next Monday coming at us?
Oh, wow. I have a feeling that next Monday is going to be a befanged fur-bearing mammal of some sort. I can't say which one, but I think it breathes air. I don't think it's a waterborne creature. I don't think it's
not scales,
scaly or slimy. Yeah, I think this one is definitely got teeth and fur and loves the taste of human flesh.
So an elephant or
Dennis.
a donkey?
No, it's Dennis.
So Dennis. It's probably Dennis.
Okay. Well, you did very well. Normally, all our guests that we definitely have never ever done that with crack under the pressure.
Never. It was a lot of pressure. I mean, I'm sweating here.
Yeah, well, then we just, it's like 60 minutes here. Where this is not puffball journalism that you might be used.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect you to spring Dennis on me. That was definitely a curveball.
We do our research.
I hate that cat. I love animals. I have to say that. I have to just for the record. I don't feel I'm not a complete monster.
Sure.
Oh.
Yeah, there'll be disclaimers, links. We'll throw out the links to Peter in
Please
the
do.
show
Yeah,
notes.
would you?
We'll
Yeah.
donation.
Hey,
We'll donate a portion of our proceeds of the episode to Peter.
Humane
All that.
Society. Thank you.
Yeah,
cat
just to build this up.
rehoming sort of thing. We've both got.
Yeah.
Andy, was your cat rehomed? Was yours an adopted cat?
Yeah, he was. He's a
Yeah,
rescue.
so was mine.
Yeah.
So
Dustin,
we're offsetting. We're offsetting the
Yeah.
cat karma.
the Craniotes of the world.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you.
I want to talk to you not about frippery and trivialities. I want to talk to you about the largest watch group in the world, Mr. Adam Craniates.
Yes.
How did
Yes.
you take a couple of dudes in a bar to a global, possibly criminal enterprise?
I'm going to be perfectly honest here. Nobody's more surprised than I am when I see what it's become, and I really can't take credit for that because each chapter kind of grows organically. I like to say, what plays in Peoria doesn't play in Cleveland, or maybe it does. They're probably similar cities. I don't know. We don't have a Red Bar Peoria. We do have Red Bar Cleveland. So to the Red Bar Cleveland guys, I love you. But what we do in New York is obviously going to be different than what we do in, say, Melbourne. And so I think it comes down to the individual chapter leaders, and we've been very fortunate that we've gotten some really good people to kind of manage and shepherd the groups through there. But I'll be honest with you, it started out as really just a way for me to talk about watches with a good friend, Dr. Jeffrey Jacques, and he has since moved to San Francisco. So he's now part of Red Bar San Francisco. Thank God we had a home for him there. But the two of us just met once a month, and then we started meeting twice a month. And next thing you know, another friend joined us, and then there are 5 of us, and 10 of us, and 20, and now we're meeting twice a week, and it just took off from there. And I think that's honestly why it still resonates with people. I think that there was never this intention of it being something more than it was, and people feel that grassroots nature of it. It feels somebody whistling.
I think that's
Yes.
the birds. Yeah.
All right. No, because I feel like there should be some musical accompaniment to what I'm
Probably
saying.
Dennis. It's Dennis's friends.
Dennis would eat these birds.
God, he would actually. He catches things and brings them back. Usually they're just giant water bugs, but he's caught birds before. But back to Red Bar. I honestly feel that because it was, and also because of the spirit of inclusiveness. For me, I was on the outside looking in terms of this hobby, and I was a member of forums, and I'd read whatever few blogs we had. I mean, this is going back to early 2000s. Hell, I used to get on Time Zone on dial-up. That's how old I am, and that's how long I've been kind of watching and following this hobby. But there were other groups before Red Bar, but I mean, you had to be voted in, and you had to have a collection of a certain level, and so you just felt like there was this barrier to entry. And even sometimes on the forums, you didn't feel like you could jump into a conversation because you didn't have all the knowledge. And so for me, Red Bar was kind of a response to that, that as it started to grow, we started to see what it was, that I wanted to make sure nobody felt the way I felt in the beginning, that it didn't matter how many watches you had or how much knowledge you had. You walked in the door and everybody was equal.
So, how many pop quiz off the top of your head? How many chapters do you have now, ish?
We're almost at 70 now.
Whoa!
Around the world, yeah.
How do you sort of foster in or like bake in that spirit of inclusion and not being snobby? Like, is there some?
I'll be honest
are
with
there
you.
some rogues over in Stockholm that are like, yeah, you do not have Patek, you cannot come to join Red Bar?
No, the Stockholm guys are great. The Copenhagen guys are great. We did have one chapter, and I'm not going to say which one, but apparently started getting a little hoity-toity, and it got back to us, and so we had to go in and change the leadership, and now it is actually one of our strongest and largest chapters. But I think the people who are attracted to this, that's something that's already attracted them, that they want that feeling too. So there's not really, I think, a desire to make it something different. I think in that case, then maybe you have to start your own group that speaks to that.
Sure.
There is another group that started up, Collective Horology. They just did a fantastic limited edition piece with Moser.
Shapiro.
Yeah. No, well, they did the Shapiro piece too, the meteorite dial, but
Yeah.
the Infinity. But they just did a great watch with Moser. Definitely a better price point, still not cheap. And these
Mm,
guys, their mo, it's not about being a snob, but it's about more exclusiveness, like
Mm,
keeping the number small so that they could really curate the experience and really manage that experience. But again, they don't care. You can be a millionaire, a billionaire, or you've got enough money to scrape together for a couple of swatches. It really doesn't matter. They just want to make sure that they know that if it gets too big, that maybe the experience isn't what they want it to be for their members. And so there's definitely room for that. But I think if you want to have a bunch of, stuffy guys who are, just jerking off over their paddocks and their, vintage this and that, then
mm.
start that group. But it's not going to be a RedBar group.
yeah,
That's just
love
not
that.
who we are. Yeah. But there's
Love
room
that.
for that.
Yeah. Well, aside from the usual sort of 2020 BS,
Mhm.
as Felix puts it,
Mhm.
what are the challenges facing Red Bar at the moment, and maybe the wider
Oh.
collector community more broadly?
I mean, the elephant in the room is obviously COVID.
Mm,
That was it definitely took the piss out of us because I always said in the beginning that what Red Bar really was doing was taking the conversation offline. When we had started, it was really an offshoot from the forums. And remember, back around since 2004, 2005, that the forums came into their own. I'm talking Time Zone, Watch You Seek, Purist Pro, Time Zone UK, all of these great sites. But now we had DSL and Wi-Fi. The software was better. You could upload photos easily, and so everybody was on this, and there was an explosion of information, and you had the sense of camaraderie that you were getting online. And so for me, Red Bar, which really started to find its legs around 2007, 2008, it was saying, okay, well, we've done this online thing, but it's a tactile hobby. So you want to try on the watches, and you also want to put, some faces to the names that you're seeing
mm.
online. And so that was a big part of it. There was an overarching thing I was going to talk about here that I completely lost track of. Somebody reel me back in here. What were we talking about?
The challenges to the collecting
The
community in
challenges.
2020.
Aha! Thank you. See, because
You're
I'm
welcome.
getting away from myself here. So, but right there, that was it. It was about meeting in person. It was
Mm,
about handling
I
somebody
see where,
else's
yeah, I
watches.
see
I
where you're
like to
going with
say,
this.
yeah, you see, this is a big one, and you might not have seen it coming, but all of a sudden, boom, we can't do that. And and what we had built everything on in terms of the events that were just local, and then
mhm,
also working directly with the brands to hold, a bigger brand themed events to help launch collections, and also a way to just get collectors up close and personal, not only with the watches but with the brands themselves and the people behind it.
Mm,
Now we can't do that, and so there was definitely an existential sort of threat we felt to what we were doing. And what was interesting is that nobody missed a beat. All of a sudden, everything just went online. And thank God we had the technology.
mm,
Even 5 years ago, and this doesn't just apply to Red Bar, I think this just applies to business in the world. The fact that we can, whether it's from our telephone or our laptop or our computers, that we can still meet in person. I'm using air quotes, you can't see
mm,
that. But what we found is that the individual chapters just started setting up their own Zooms. Um, I joke that I actually, during COVID, visited more chapters than I did before COVID, when I was just traveling around freely.
mm.
Because I got to sit in, whether it was Chicago or Kansas or Los Angeles or Atlanta, that I was able to kind of get myself out there in a way that I wasn't able to before. And it was really, I think it speaks to the strength of the community. I joke that people half the time you're not talking about watches. You're talking about life. These are your friends now,
Yeah, sure.
and so these people still had a desire to stay in touch. And even if you're in the same city, I know from the lockdown here in New York and everywhere else,
mm.
you still weren't going out. Um, so interestingly enough, what we thought would be a huge threat turned out not to really be one.
'Cause-
Everybody's in the same situation. So that we're still meeting, we're still doing events with brands, except now we're
yeah,
doing webinars and even our global meetup, which we did online. That was supposed to be in London, but that turned out to be a huge success for us.
so
So,
much more inclusive, I assume now this time around too.
oh well, and that was another thing. We actually obviously had more people join us
Yeah,
because it's a lot easier to get online than it is to get on a plane and fly to London. So
So, Adam, you're at the I want to say the coalface of the watch collector community. Like, you'd have a pretty good bead on who is showing up to this sort of stuff and who is interested in watches at the moment. Is it still that image of, very stale, male, and pale, or are we starting to see a little bit more uh,
I'm
diversity?
using that.
Yeah, I pitched it from someone else. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah, or are we starting to see that open up a bit, or is it still an old boys club?
It is. It has opened up a lot, I think. And I'm not just saying that because it's something that sort of serves my narrative, but I think that, and this is something that's been happening even before COVID, is that some of the barriers have been coming down, and we're seeing not only are we seeing more people becoming involved with the hobby from different walks of life, but I also think that there's a lot of interesting stuff happening now at price points, that are much lower and much more accessible. And whether we're talking about new micro brands that might be using Kickstarter to get the word out there, or even brands like Seiko that people are looking at who are kicking out beautiful watches at great prices. So I think that more people are attracted to it. It's still predominantly male.
Hmm.
That's something I would like to see change. My business partner Kathleen McGivney is definitely a woman. She's got lady parts, as she likes to say, and it's something that she has deals with too, and not just in terms of, oh, there aren't that many women in the industry, and certainly not that many women doing what she's doing, at least in terms of with Red Bar and stuff. But that also, when you look at the watches coming out, the brands are still kind of focused on the men's watches. The most interesting pieces are still uh, primarily geared towards men. So that's another thing, that she kind of wants to see change. And so, the question is, how do you do that? How do we attract more women without it seeming like we're pandering? I don't know, but I think it's happening. We
Mm.
definitely do have more women who are, supportive members, vocal members, and I just want to keep that going, obviously.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So what I'm curious to kind of hear from you is how it all works. We've got listeners in places like Barbados, the Bahamas, Belarus, Senegal, even Iceland. If someone is listening and wants to set up their own Red Bar crew
Or find one near them.
or find one near them, how do they do it? How do they get in touch? How do they set it up? How do they join?
We have a website, redbargroup.com. And so
Hmm.
you can visit that. And then there's actually a place where you can, enter your information, whether you're looking for a local chapter or whether you want to start a conversation about starting your own chapter. I will say that we are terrible in terms of getting back to people because we do get a lots of requests. And I don't say that because, oh, we're so awesome. It's just that we had somebody whose job it was to kind of respond to these and get them to the right place, and they're no longer with us, and I am a big dumb animal. So there is a backlog,
Mm.
but we are trying to address that. And really, what we look for, honestly, if you want to start a chapter, is I always say, and it's a common saying, but it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Nobody expects you to come out of the gate, throwing events with hundreds of people and attracting the biggest brands ever. Find a couple people that you like and trust and just build it slowly. They will come, and that's it. We'll help you out. We get you a logo, you get started. Social media obviously has been a huge boon for us. And we'll get the word out for you. And I think then, as long as you think there's a demand, then we want to be there.
And
Yeah.
oh, sorry, Andy. We just
No, you go, Felix.
um, on that. Like, so you sort of said you'll help. Well, what's the relationship like? Like, is it if I
It
set up the chapter? Is it am I on my own, or can I go? Adam, how do I get in touch
well,
with
if
Breitling?
you set up yeah, if you set up the chapter, you're on your own. I don't want anything to do with you. But if anybody else sets up the chapter, uh, well, remember again, it's local. So I trust that you living in Timbuktu, let's say that you've got a lay of the land. You're already into watches. That's great. Start it out slow, and now let's just say if you're looking for a relationship with the brand, we can certainly, if you think, oh my God, all my people are talking about Breitling, everybody loves Breitling. How do we get something going with Breitling? Then certainly we can, reach out and find the local Timbuktu Breitling representative and see if we can get something going there. But what I've found is that most of the chapters, these people already have relationships with the local ADs. And so these, in very different ways, they already have their hooks into that scene. And once the name Red Bar pops up, people know it.
Mm.
The ads know it, the brands know it, so that if you're part of us, it confers a small measure of legitimacy, let's say. Fortunately, most of the brands don't know me personally, so
Mm.
my own peccadillos won't get in the way of your relationship, so to speak. But I think that that's what we've done in a lot of cases. Is there have been local groups that have kind of come under our umbrella. I think that they've grown to a certain point, and they want to take it to the next level, and it does help them to kind of come under our umbrella, because there is a little bit of more acceptance, that the industry knows who we are. And so and that's it. But otherwise, I want to keep it as loose as possible. This isn't me cracking the whip and saying you do this and that, and what have you, because in many ways the people who are running the chapters, to me, are like the moderators on the forum.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not paying you, and it takes time and a little bit of effort, to put these things together. I think the reward is that, you're sort of the guy in that sense, and that you're kind of indulging in your hobby on a certain level, and so therefore it's not really my place to come in all hot and heavy, banging a gong and say, no, you're doing this wrong, this wrong, and this wrong, and this wrong. I want the relationship to still be somewhat equal, you know.
Yeah. So once you've joined, I imagine it's very similar to like outlaw motorcycle gangs. There's a master at arms who's the leader that you're talking about. Everyone gets
Hmm.
a cut, maybe some patches.
Hmm.
You get your Red Bar crew tattoo.
Or is it a
Yeah.
What
brand?
happens if you
Is
leave
it still a brand?
Red Bar? Do you have to get it kind of crossed
Mm,
out? Do they cut it
yeah,
off?
well, yeah, yeah, the tattoo is a whole other thing we don't really like talking about.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough.
yeah, that gets a little uncomfortable for
Is
some
it on
people,
the
but
wrist, the tattoo?
we do, but you do get jumped out. If you're
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, if you're out, I mean, I'll
And
let
then
you
you
go, but
post around a photo to all of the other chapters so that they know the person that's been
yeah,
kicked
yeah,
out.
this
And
this this guy's been kicked out, and you look, you take your lumps, and then you're fine. You know, no.
Nice.
That I said, just in case anybody thinks this other. No, there's no red bar tattoo. As a matter of fact, I don't have any tattoos. I'm not cool enough.
it's never too late, Adam.
Well, Kathleen has enough tattoos for the both of us, I think.
She's
Yeah,
the
well,
official tattooist of RedBar. Nice.
Yes.
the official just
That's what we're getting between the lines there. That's
just behind Cowgirl Seahorse. That's where they do the prison
That's
style
yeah.
yeah,
tattoos.
and it's actually in
Exactly.
an ink made from Bloody Mary.
That's true.
So Felix has just reminded me the real reason you're on here and the whole reason this
Uh-oh.
this chat came about is because there's a very special Red Bar crew member out there that I sent you a little DM and I said this guy's come up on our radar. He referred a guest the other week.
Oh God,
Felix,
yes.
Felix, do you want to tell the story?
MVP Steve. I don't think we need to say
Everybody
story.
needs.
well.
You got to
Everybody
tell the
needs a
story.
Steve.
So, well, was he an official Red Bar member, Andy? I'm not too sure about the details. Or was he?
Okay, so he posted some pictures with his soon-to-be son-in-law. They're both wearing watches and sort of very clear that they're into watches. And so someone from RedBar in London reached out and invited his Instagram account to like come to a meetup. And this was like 2 years ago. Anyway, so he turned up and felt that there was potentially some confusion about who they thought they were inviting and who turned up. And I think it's for the better, but they probably thought that they were inviting his very famous son-in-law James McVeigh from the Vamps, who we had on. But in actual fact, MVP Steve turned up, which I dare say also a win. And he's been a member
I think in
ever
terms of
since.
the overall passion and commitment for watches, Steve's the one you want because, as we've discovered, all of Mr. McVeigh's watches have been filtered through MVP
True.
Steve.
We all need
MVP
Steve.
I'll be
Yeah.
honest, and I'm sure it would have been a coup for our UK chapters to have nailed this individual, the son-in-law. MVP Steve. It sounds like the guy that we want.
He's putting his name down at multiple ADs and securing. I think he's got a longer game here. Well,
No, we don't want to jinx the guy now.
no.
But
Steve's
I
great.
did listen. I did listen to that episode though, and that was, that's the type of stuff I love, and I think this is why watches are so much fun. And I love the fact that these two gentlemen can kind of bond on that. Obviously, they are bonding over, Steve's daughter and James's soon to be wife,
Mm.
but that they can share that too, and that kind of thing just makes me happy always.
We just touched on something there actually, and I think it's a very good question. Speaking of waiting lists,
Hmm.
does the official Red Bar membership card, which I assume exists,
Of
make it
course.
easy? Does that like immediately jump you to the top of the Steel, Rolex, and Patek list?
Mm. Like I can tell you from experience that no, it does not. Um, and it's funny. I was saving in my back pocket. I was, maintained a very good relationship with Kelly Yock of, you know, um, Patek Philippe, Tiffany's fame, and only to find out the other day that she has jumped ship and she's now with Watches of Switzerland.
Well,
So
you can
all of that good work has just gone out the door. Um,
wow, it certainly has after
that
this
was that
episode.
was maybe the only, yeah, maybe that was the only shot that I ever had there. But at the end of the day, I hate to say it, the only thing that gets you ahead with an AD is your spend with them and the amount of time you spent with them. Yeah, I don't think Red Bar is going to help you all that much.
Damn.
Wow. Kelly, congratulations on the new role, though I'm sure everyone's very happy for you.
She's
What
psyched,
it,
and she deserves, she
and
deserves
she's
as much
probably
as.
sick of people harassing her for
That was the joke. The
yeah.
surest way to get her to ignore you was to say the words Nautilus or Aquanaut.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what being a Red Bar member does allow you to do is get
Hmm.
access to some pretty cool collaborations that RBC has done over the years. You've done a heap. How does the process work? How do you guys come up with a collaborative watch?
Or
It's
product.
it's a two-way street.
Mm,
It's a discussion with the brand to find. First of all, it has to be a brand that we like. We're also, unlike, some other people doing collaborations, we like to keep the price, somewhat affordable, shall we
Mm.
say, within the realm of possibility for folks. And I'm not saying down the road we won't do something that's a little more, out there, but that would always be the exception as opposed to the rule. But it's definitely a collaboration in every sense of the word in terms of talking to the brand about the model that we'd like to work with, or maybe there's something that they had in mind, and then kind of just filtering out the details. I think people don't realize how difficult it is even just to change the color of a dial, especially when you're doing smaller runs. The prices can go up pretty quickly, and so you have to find a way to kind of make everybody happy in terms of the price, in terms of the design. And we've just been fortunate that we've worked with some really great people. Oris was a fantastic collaboration for us, and I can't say one way or the other if we'll do something else with them. I would like to say yes, but they were a perfect example, I think, of how we had an idea and then they helped us refine the idea.
Yeah,
And
sure.
it was the same with our recent collaboration with Frederic and Stunt. And I think that a lot of people were maybe a little surprised by that. Frederic and Stunt, while it's an established brand and a relatively large one, I think within the collector community, um, they're respected on one level, but they're not really a brand that people consider. And when we
Mm.
saw the new High Life collection, and this was about a year ago, and it was a brand that we'd worked with in the past in terms of doing events. Peter and Aletta Stoss are wonderful individuals. Pim Koslag, who's their technical director, and also the head of CEO of Atelier de Monaco, is someone whom
hmm
I'm actually consider a friend, and is definitely a mad scientist in his own right. So when we saw this watch, we just thought this is a piece I think that can give them more of that collector appeal. And forget about our involvement with it, but then it was like, well, what could we do to make this something that is more uniquely ours and could appeal even more so to our members? But really, for me, what it was to kind of shine a spotlight on the whole collection to keep that
Mm.
conversation going. And again, for working with them and working with Pim, it was, well, we want to do this and this, and okay, well, we can do that. Oh, maybe we can't do that, but how about this? And then we arrived at the pieces that we came out with. I will say that the perpetual is more out of the price range that we're typically comfortable with, but I feel that because it's such a tremendous value,
Mm,
well, it's still about $10,000 US, a little under. Where are you going to find a manufacturer perpetual calendar for that price? So
Yeah.
I felt like that kind of was made it a little more okay. shall we say?
Yeah, I think that sort of those values of value are still there, I guess.
Yeah.
Two things. One, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say Frederick Constant as classily as you have.
We just say Freddie C.
Well, no,
Freddie C.
how do you say it again? How do you say it, Adam?
I was like Frederic Constant.
Oh, dang
I
it.
thought that's how was said.
Wow. Well,
I
you're
prefer
not from you're
I
not from
prefer Freddie
Australia.
C. That's what I'm. Every
Freddie
time I
C.
deal with them, going forward now, it's
Please
going to be
don't.
Freddie C.
Please don't.
Freddie C. Adam,
Didn't
why
come
are you
from
saying
us.
Freddie C? Well, that's
Where'd you
what
hear that, Adam?
Felix
Yeah.
Shaw said that. Yeah.
As long as you call me
Freddie
Felix
C.
Shahs, that's fine. That's a different Felix.
Wait, who are you?
A quick one. So you sort of said you've been working on this for a year. Like, this is a question I think a lot of people have an interest in terms of, limited editions. How long does it take? Like from once you sort of agree on, like, you have those discussions about design, like what's the
It's
quickest or
about
the longest it could happen?
it's really I think typically it's about a year, and I know this from speaking, with other people who've gone through the process. First of all, it has to be a collection that they're either working on or something that's already out there, and then there's still the give and take of what can we do, what can't we do. In some instances, maybe they're making their own dials. That's great. A lot of the times the dials are outsourced, so then that's a whole other layer that has to be addressed there in terms of when they do it. So for us, I think the fastest time maybe was the Oris. Maybe that was a little less than a year. But yeah, it kind of it tends to filter out to around that.
Yeah, cool.
What I've seen so far. So,
Yeah, interesting. Felix?
Okay. I don't know if you know this, Adam, but we've got some pretty serious heft in the watch industry.
I do know that. Why do you think I'm here? I need
exactly.
some of that to rub off.
You should see our listener numbers in Geneva. They are through the roof, and I don't want to say too much, but you've got a great opportunity on this podcast. If you ever wanted to put it out there to some brands you would be dreaming and hoping to work with on a collaborative level, they're listening. All you have to do is say the name, and you're going to get an email.
Who would I like to work with?
They're going to pull their car over, and ears are going to prick up.
Yep.
Yeah. So
in fact, right now they're hoping that you're going to say their name.
Literally gripping the steering wheel.
Everybody's
tight.
just. I hope they pull over
over the Mercedes.
White knuckles.
Get off the road. I don't want
Adam,
to cause an
they
accident.
Haven't blinked.
Here.
Adam, they haven't blinked yet. They haven't even taken another breath.
Oh God, who would I do a watch with? I'm not gonna lie. All right, this is because I'm jealous, but I would love to do something with Moser and their dials.
Eduardo?
I think just between RedBar and their Fume, these guys, and he's just crazy enough to kind of go for some crazy shit that we might have in mind too.
Well,
again, we're talking about a price point.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I don't think Ed's going to be calling me anytime soon. MBNF, this is the truth, and this will never happen. But again, somebody who I respect so much, Max, and who I consider a friend, and I just would love to do something crazy with him. And the irony being that I would never be able to afford my own watch either. That's always kind of my issue, is that I do need the watches to be affordable enough for me to buy too. No, they don't give them to me. Let's see what else. Who else would I like? So that's on the high end. Yeah. And even while it would never ever happen, I would like also to do something with Tudor because it's a price point that I love. And I think that, again, we could do something great, but that's not really Tudor or their parent Rolex's MO. These guys tend to stick to their own.
Well, their legal department's listening, so
yeah, fair enough.
They might pass it on.
You have been flagged.
Okay. And I'm out of that. Well, that was a given anyway. Grand Seiko, definitely. I did like the piece they just did with Hodinkee. I do like the color of the blue they did, but I mean, it's a brand that I love so much. It's a brand that represents value at the sort of the price point that they're in, and I love the people behind the brand. So honestly, that would be probably right now who I would really, 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 really love to work with it in the most realistic sense. Like I said, I know MBNF's not going to happen. Ed's too busy doing other cool shit with other cool people. but Tudor will just flip me the bird, and I know they already changed their phone number just by me mentioning that. So let's
I've
just
actually
say
moved
we're
office.
yeah. As we speak, the moving vans are already downstairs. Yeah, Grand Seiko. I've always had a thing for that brand, and I only own one. But I would definitely I'm definitely looking to get some more when I actually have money, which will be a
Sure.
while.
Yeah, cool.
Andy, could we just take a break? I need a refill.
What are you drinking, Felix?
It's your classic filter roast from our new coffee sponsor, Inglewood Coffee Roasters.
Beverage sponsor, Felix, we have made it.
Hey, I've got a cheeky Yirgacheffe filter on the go at the moment. Ethiopian bean with some light floral notes. It's my daily, and I can't get enough.
Well, Felix, I'm actually punching out another double espresso using their Colombian Spirit of Peace espresso roast blend. It's sweet and biscuity.
So here's the deal. Use OT30, that's OT30, for 30% off your order at checkout. On top of that, Inglewood Coffee Roasters offer free shipping on all Victorian orders and Australia-wide when you spend more than $50.
Head to inglewoodcoffeeroasters.com.au to place an order today. We'll link that up. OT the podcast, fueled by Inglewood Coffee Roasters. Well, another collab you did, which was cool and wasn't watches. You did the electric torch with Mouchant.
That was so much fun, and I love Enrique. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh, wow. You really are.
Cool. Alrighty.
I'm kidding. No, I love him in a manly, platonic way. So it's a love born of mutual respect and admiration.
Your silence.
And he
speaks
does wonderful
volumes.
work. Yes.
So that was
no,
a
that was a
UV
fun one.
torch. That was a UV
Yeah, it was
torch.
it was hilarious because it's a tiny light that's ridiculously expensive, and it really doesn't serve a whole lot of purposes unless you're a CSI who's going to crime scenes and you need to find the incriminating fluids, which is gross. Like I tell people, when you buy the light, because it's ridiculously powerful for its size, do not use it in your kitchen or bathroom because you will never cook anything again and you will never use that toilet again because it shows
Or your teenage
everything.
son's bedroom.
Oh man.
No, it's like a Jackson. It's like a Jackson Pollock in here. It's terrible. I didn't know.
Time code 37 minutes. Just delete
that. Just get that out of there. I don't think Paul will listen to this. But but to me, what Enrique does with his flashlights, it's jewelry, and it's on a level that as watch collectors that we look to, whether it's the finishing, the design, just that attention to detail. So, look, we didn't make a whole lot of them, but my God, that was fun. And I carry one with me all the time, and I just yeah. So that was fun. I would love to maybe do another light with him. So we'll see. Maybe that's something we can do.
We'll let him know. All right. Well, we should talk about watches because we've got we are a watch podcast, and you're a man with watch stories. I don't really know where to start with you, but I feel like it's probably the IWC Perp Cal story. You're sick of telling it?
No, I'm not. I mean I think everyone has a signature watch, and for me that's clearly my signature piece. And it's not the watch I wear the most. I can't say that it's necessarily my favorite watch these days, but it is definitely my watch, and I think I will always be associated with that. And honestly, I think for good reasons. These are reasons why we love watches, and there's a great story there. And it's not even just a story, but it's also something that speaks to my heart in terms of my relationship with my mother, and even to my relationship with her father, my grandfather. So it's a watch that every time I wear it, I'm always conscious of how I wound up with it, and what it means to me, and what the people who helped me get it, what they mean to me. And so for that reason, the watch is priceless. I've always joked with people, IWC could come to me and say, look, Adam, we have this brand new watch that is amazing, and we've designed it, and it's going to blow your mind. It's going to revolutionize the industry. Unfortunately, the price is a little out there, but you know what? Because we love you so much, and you have been so instrumental to the growth of this brand, which this is a dream I'm having. This is not something that's real. We want you to have this watch, but unfortunately, we have to take the the Top Gun Perpetual. We have to take that back. But you're getting this watch that's worth 10 times as much, and blah blah. And I would still, honestly, I'd have to say no,
Sure.
because the watch to me means more now than what its cost is. So that was a fun one. But yes, just so if anyone cares, my mother and I had this arrangement for quite a while where if I wanted a watch, she would buy it for me. Put it on
Hmm.
her card, have it delivered to her apartment. And the reason for this was so that my wife didn't see, this huge charge on a credit card or all this money go missing from the bank at once. And then
Hmm.
what I would do is I would go over to my mom's, pick up the watch, put it on my wrist, leave the box and shit there. And then I'm just
Hmm.
wearing the watch. My wife didn't know the difference between like a Seiko Tuna and a, Patek Philippe Calatrava, which they're all the same. So then I would just have this watch. And then what I would do, and my mom and I worked out a payment schedule where I kind of just sort of pay her under the table, little amounts here and there. And to her credit, there was a cutoff. I mean, she had to be made whole by a certain time, or she was hanging out, outside my building waiting for me with a baseball bat.
So you use your
And
mum to effectively launder money.
pretty much is how that works. But I feel like this
Yeah.
was the victimless crime because everybody was happy. I got my watch, which made me happy. My
Mm.
mother got to prove that she loves me more than any other woman person in the world could ever love me, so then she's
Hmm.
happy. And then my wife doesn't know, and we're, as long as we can feed the family, that's great. And then she loves me and has this husband who's nothing but honest with her, and everybody's happy. And that was so. But the thing is, when it came to this watch, though, it was a little bit out of our comfort zone price wise. I had never bought a watch that was that expensive, and there was kind of a time issue here in terms of how I was able to get the watch and have
Mhm.
it be made available to me. So I had to go to my mom right away and say, look, this is more than I usually come to you for, but I got to get this now. And so she kind of looked at me, and at the time I had this mohawk. Sounds stupid, and it was stupid, but I thought I was the cool dad because I had a mohawk. And
Jeez.
when I say a mohawk, I mean it was like I call it the corporate hawk because I
Yeah,
worked at
yeah, I know the one.
Macy's at the time at
Yeah,
corporate, and so it was only about an inch high, if that. Just enough, just the tip, so to
yeah, just
speak.
like a sort of
And
mid 2000s boy band mohawk. I'm thinking.
yeah, but except this was not a faux hawk because it was shaved on the
Uh huh.
side, so that was definitely there. And I thought I was the bee's knees. I did look like an idiot, and my mother
Sure.
hated it. So I had this for a while, and how I got away with it in the company is a whole other story. But so she saw her opportunity, and honestly, to her credit, she did not miss a beat. She goes, "Honey, I love you. I know what these things mean to you. Of course, we'll get the money." Oh, and I had to bring her to the bank. We had to actually wire the money. You couldn't use her credit card, so that was a hassle for her. She goes, "Look, I will do this, but you've got to get rid of that stupid mohawk." And I was
Fair
like, "Wait,
play.
Did you?
what?"
How long did you pause before agreeing to these terms?
I definitely paused, but she was look, she wasn't going to make a move, lift a finger until it was gone. And
Mm.
so I basically, I would go to her house for lunch, so I just went back to work. And that night, shaved it off, came back to see her for lunch the next day. She took one look at me and she goes, "Okay, I'll go get my coat." And then we went to
Oh,
the bank and she wired the money. But remember, same deal though. I still had to pay her back. And I already had a couple watches I was going to sell that were in the process of moving. So it really wasn't a problem of getting her the money. But, again, we were doing slow, little
timelines.
amounts here and
Yeah.
there. And then my birthday came up. And so I went to see her on my birthday, and we're just hanging out. She's my day drinking pal. That's what everybody knew at work when I saw my mom because I come back happy because I was drunk in the office. And then she said, "Oh, by the way, honey, are you wearing?" I was wearing the watch. She goes, "I just want you to know you're done. It's yours." And I still
Oh,
owed
what a
10,000, and I still owed $10,000 on this. But and the funny thing was, is she waited until she knew I had the money to pay her, and then
such a
she was
mum
like,
move.
"It's a mom move," but it worked out, and it was my birthday. And she goes, "Look, I was always gonna do this. I'm not gonna buy you the whole watch, but I wanted you
You got to work
to
for it.
have this. Yeah, and I want this to be for me and something that you think about with me." And because my grandfather bought me my first watch when I was like 7 years old. He's the one who kind of started the whole thing. And so for me, it was, and I think for her, it was a way to kind of, you know, remember my grandfather, her father. She was very close to him, as was I, and that watch is sort of part of that. So that's how I got the watch. I would have gotten it anyway, but I tell you, I like it much better this way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's one that you didn't flip in 6 months' time. You'll have forever. That's a really cool story.
Yeah.
One
And I
other
think I used
story.
that 10 grand for like another watch. I don't even think I like
Of
put it
course
into
you
the
did.
kids' college
Of
account
course.
or anything. I think I just college fund. I was just like, shit. Well, now I can buy another watch. Yay!
Wow. One other story of you
Terrible.
being a generally shenanigan-filled individual is the one around
Uh-oh.
your famous Speedmaster Snoopy. How
No.
did you get that?
That was funny. I think I was probably one of the last people to actually successfully order one. So that put me kind of, I think, in the back of the queue. And again, you don't get any. I didn't get any special. I don't think any consideration there. But so I got in on this. And then as the watches started being delivered, and it was a little while before that even started, I noticed it was taking even longer. It seemed for my number to get called, and so I thought as a way to pass the time, it would be funny every Speedy Tuesday to kind of remind Omega that I didn't have my watch and remind the
Mm.
world. And I would post different pictures of like Lucy and Charlie Brown and what have you. And usually it was her yanking the football out from Charlie Brown and he'd go flying and I would tag them. Lucy was Omega. I was Charlie Brown. The football was just fate, life, what have you. And so I could do this every week and I thought it was funny. It was just a way to pass the time. And trust me, I'm the last. I know what these things are. I know what life is. So I don't want anyone shedding any tears for me. I'll get my damn watch. But I thought it was funny. And so as it happens, there was a marketing meeting with all the high muckety mucks for Omega USA, and they're going over the I guess social media strategies and stuff like that, and well, who's tagging us here, how is this working, what have you. And then somehow my my Instagram feed comes up, and I believe it was Brice Latrodec, who's now of course with who runs Grand Seiko USA. So he's
Hmm.
looking, he goes, what is this, who is this? And then he starts going through and they start looking through my feed, and like every week it's this guy bitching, making fun of Omega with the watch. He goes, why is he why does he not have his watch? Who knows? Does anyone know this guy? Who knows this person? And so there was one person there who's just like, oh shit. And I'm not going to name names, but it was Adam Bossy from Tudor, who now runs Tudor USA, and he was running sales. He kind of just raises his hand like, yeah, that's Adam, I know him. Why does he not have his watch? He goes, make sure he gets his watch, okay? Then we put an end to this. And I was actually flying at the time to Vegas, but I was paying for the crappy Wi-Fi on the plane, and so I get a text from Adam like, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. What's up? I'm in the air. I'm on a plane, bitch." Like I'm all excited and stuff. That
That's pretty
technology. What? Yeah, what a time to be alive. And then he relates to me what happened, and he goes, "Dude, all you had to do was tell me that you don't have your watch, and I would have made sure you got it." And I go, "Well, I don't want to bother you. I was late to the game. I'm just having fun. I can wait another month or two or whatever. I didn't know." And he's like, "All
But how
right, just
quickly do I pay the deposit? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, you had to pay up front with this thing." And so what was funny is that I think I was in Vegas for a couple days, and then the second I flew back home, it was waiting for me. It was that simple. But they were literally like who is this asshole?
And his
Does anybody know that? Does anybody know this asshole?
And his
And
30,000
that was
Instagram followers.
yeah, and that was how I. And then, like I said, 2 days later, I had the watch. So, and
So,
nobody
guys, if you
knew.
want to secure a hard to get watch, this is
Just
exactly what you need to do. Just
yeah,
tag
just
the
be
brands and harass them.
just be a passive aggressive git online, and the world is your oyster.
It totally works. It totally works.
I'll be honest. I feel like it could have gone the other way too. Forget this guy. He's off the list. No more watches for him.
100%. If I was in that position, I would at least have added another 6 months onto your waiting time. Just to.
I was right when he said that to me. I'm like, oh fuck. Now he's gonna tell me that they were like, screw this guy. Adam, you just shot yourself in the foot. You're not getting the watch now. So, yeah.
What a story. What a story. Adam, What
Mhm.
watch brands that we haven't talked about do you think are winning right now? Q4 2020. Who's winning?
Well, I mean, I did briefly touch on Oris, but I think they're winning. I love their new movement. I love the price point, and I love their social conscious because it really comes from a real place for them, and I think that's becoming more and more important for people.
That's the
So,
telephone
so
calls
there's
from
that.
Moser. They've heard.
That was that. That was no.
And
That was actually my mom. I actually
it's the
just had to.
Malin Bros.
I'm
Yeah.
not kidding. I just had to hang up. I had to hang up on my mom. You did that.
She's like, I
I'm gonna.
didn't gift you that 10K. You owe me that 10K.
For tax
Yeah.
reasons.
Now I'm gonna have to pay her back. Um, let's see
It's
who
the
else is
IRS.
doing a who else is doing a great job right now? Bulgari, I got to give them credit, and not necessarily for the watches. I'm fond of their watches, and I actually do have the Octo Finissimo GMT White Light. It is
Oh,
finally on
really?
its way to me, which is a
Nice.
beautiful watch.
The
But
Revolution
in
one.
talking to Wei, yes. But in talking to Wei about the brand recently and some other stuff we talked about, they've really done a great job in terms of dealing with COVID, in terms of raising awareness, and even repurposing one of their plants that was making their sense to make hand sanitizer, to raise money for research. And I just really love seeing brands putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, in that respect. And also just a company that's done amazing things watch wise. The new Diagono Connect collection too is fantastic, and and again at a fantastic price point. Definitely, that's what I should have been buying because that I can afford. Not
Yeah.
even that I can't afford. I don't know how I'm going to pay for this thing. I have the same deal with my mom, and again, she's like, "You got this amount of time to pay me back, you son of a bitch." She made it very clear to me after that one time that the Bank of Mom is closed.
Mm.
There's no more goodwill there. Like the terms
Sure.
have to be adhered to, and she
Yeah,
needs to
nice.
be made whole. Yeah,
Well,
so
we're
you don't
facing
really mess
negative
around with
interest
her.
rates, so she's probably looking just to kind of try out some alternative investments.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a lousy investment no matter what.
Yeah.
Mm.
Who else is doing well right now? Uh, Tudor's doing great, but they're always doing great. I hate the blue Black Bay 55 because it's so awesome, and I want that watch
Sure.
too.
Yeah, I remember you were pretty vocal around the release of
Ugh.
that
Well,
Tudor.
first of all, talk about winning. Only Tudor could have done this. They
Mm.
sent that watch to everyone and their grandmother,
Yeah.
so that on the day of release, we could all post pictures of this watch. And then
So
also
smart.
you could go and buy the watch that day. But when I say
Clever.
everyone and their grandmother, I'm not kidding. There was a box sitting on my grandmother's grave from Tudor. And I thank God
Nice.
somebody got it and just said, "Oh, we got to send this back," because it was just sitting there and exposed.
Lucky
But
it's
Well, if
waterproof.
you missed out,
Yeah.
then yeah. Mm.
but I got to spend about a week with that watch, and it's just so perfect on every level. There's nothing about it that you look at and you're just blown away particularly. Like I would say the Bulgari, the Octo Finissimo has these elements that just kind of blow you away for better or for worse. But this watch to me is an example of just like the Goldilocks.
Mm.
I don't think there's anybody who could put that watch on and not pull it off. So I just love that. But yeah, they're doing a great job. I don't
Yeah.
know. You tell me who's
That's a
making you
pretty good
happy.
answer, I think. I think they're all brands that are sort of they
I mean, I
haven't
don't love that Bulgari. I like the Revolution one. I don't like the other one. I'll be honest.
the
No, but it's definitely an acquired taste. I think it's a love it or hate it design. You can't
Yeah, but it's sort of
argue.
like one.
Yeah,
It's sort of like one of those Bloody Marys. It's like, do I want to
yeah.
acquire this taste?
I
I don't
would
know.
say that. Yeah, but I would say that it's not your first watch.
Yeah,
or it
It's
is if
somebody
you
who
really
has a
love Bulgari
collection.
as a brand.
yeah.
I think for certain avant-garde types, an Octo Finissimo automatic is definitely could be that piece. But again, it's
I love the
expensive,
Finissimo. I love the Finissimo. Yeah,
and but it's expensive, and you
yeah.
have to respect all that went into making something so thin and functional. But I think whereas there's definitely something you got to kind of work your way through with that design. That with the Tudor, it's just right there. It's just instantly
Mm.
accessible. You instantly get it. Obviously, two different watches, very different in every respect. But that's something that I appreciate about both of them. But I'll be honest with you, if I didn't have a collection already, as much as I love the Octo Finissimo and especially the Chrono GMT, it's not going to be my first choice because I think I'm limited in terms of how I
Mm,
can wear it,
yep.
and kind of how it goes with my life. I will say that the white light though is a piece that I was
Mm.
fortunate enough to kind of be involved with at the beginning, and so that has turned into kind of how I would make the watch the way I want it. And thankfully, that's also how Way wanted it, because otherwise it wouldn't have happened. um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You mentioned you're involved with it, and we recorded with Way the other evening, but we ran out of time to kind of find out
Oh
how
yeah,
your kind of fingerprints ended up on the
yeah,
watch. But
yeah, yeah. Way was
you
like,
made them, you put them together.
he's like, Adam didn't do shit. Um, no, let's be very clear. This is a vision of Ways that he had, I
Mm,
think, started thinking about the second the watch was launched. Is how to we take this watch that's resolutely unsporty and make it
yeah.
sporty, make it more of a tool watch, which in many ways, and it's a valid criticism, goes against, I think, what the watch is really supposed to be, design wise. And there's some people who say, well, this has kind of ruined it. Um, Obviously, I don't really feel that way, but I understand that point of view. For me, I always prefer sportier watches. I'd like to have lume on a watch, especially if it's supposed to be a sport watch. I think not having that kind of limits in terms of how you can wear it, although most of the time it's light where I am, so that's fine. But I
Hmm.
think, no, for me, it was more of like I was just supportive, shall we
Mm.
say. I
You're a
was with
cheerleader.
Way and Fabrizio when the watch was discussed and started laying out the design for that. And it was just more of me just like, oh my God, yes. Okay, if you
Yep.
do this, I'll buy it. Yes, keep doing more of that. And then as the watch, the prototypes were being finished and whatever, Way would send me um, photos of it. And there was a video, there was a lunch with Fabrizio and Jean-Christophe Bebin and, all these cool people. And they had the watch there. And I was just like, yeah, I know they would never send me that video, but they would send it to Way. But I got to see it. And I'm like, yes, yes, more of this, more of this.
Nice.
So yeah, it was more of just like rah, rah,
Yeah.
if Way can't do it, Fabrizio can. F for Fabrizio. I don't know.
Yeah. You got to do that cheer for Fabrizio's full name.
I'm not Fabrizio Bonamassa Stigliani.
No, we're
That
not
he
going
could
to
be,
do
you
that.
could be none more Italian. I swear to God, he is the distilled essence of the Italian man.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
what a
what a
nice
man.
guy
What a man.
too.
He's lovely.
Have you
Hey,
seen when you talk to him and he's got a pen in his hand, he just starts sketching. It's like he can't help himself. And it's beautiful. Like you have to be born, I think, to do what he does. You obviously can spend years honing your craft and making it better, but to me, he's the perfect example of what it means to be born an artist. Because I could never do that.
shout out to Fabrizio. I can 100%
No,
agree.
he's just a great guy. That's all I could say. Yeah.
Hey, Adam, I want to change the conversational topic to something darker, something more
Okay.
pressing.
Please.
As we're recording it, the date here is the 3rd of November. It's a little bit early there.
Oh shit.
Um, Tomorrow is, of course, the American election, which I have a feeling a few people are paying attention to at the moment.
Yeah, couple of folks.
Yeah. You aren't afraid to be political on your public persona and your business.
Hmm.
I think. How do you manage those things? Like a lot of people, especially in luxury, are very gun shy of sort of taking a stance. How do you
You
balance
know,
that, and what's your reasoning?
I understand, with certain businesses just staying out of it, and politics is very personal. I don't think there's, you could say that anyone is definitively right or wrong, except for this election, of course. But I think
Sure.
for my personal account, which is, just Craniotes, I do view that as my personal account. Yes, I obviously it's predominantly watches. It's predominantly watches that I own. It's going to have me in it, and I feel very strongly about this election. I have to make it clear to you that I have good friends who are conservative, who are, going to vote for Trump, and shame on me if I thought that they were any different when I knew them 5 years ago or 10 years ago.
Mm,
So I accept that people are going to have different opinions. It's difficult for me at times to reconcile uh,
Mm,
people whom I respect and consider my friend and consider good people who are finding new, novel, and interesting ways of turning a blind eye to everything that Trump represents. I think for my own personal being, I'm interracial. My mother is Black Native American. My father was Greek, but his parents were immigrants. Um, you know, I who I am as a person is definitely attacked by Trump and definitely attacked by the policies that he's putting forth and really what he stands for. And to me, that's not what America should stand for. You know, you use my father was a diehard Republican,
Mm.
but he passed away in 96. But when he passed away, you could be a moderate Republican. We have what we called
Yeah.
fiscal Republicans. You know, they wanted to keep their money, they wanted lower taxes, smaller government for sure, but they could still be liberal. My father supported a woman's right to choose, he supported gay rights, he, you know, can't say he was a racist. He married my mom. I mean, he was a dick, but beyond that, he was, you know, kind of open minded. And but that Republican doesn't exist anymore. And to me, that's a problem. And that's just, the GOP is going to have to do some soul searching, especially if they lose this election. But
Mm.
the fact that they might actually win it shows you how fractured the country is. Even
Mm.
on the Democratic side, you know, now the party is split between, you know, the true left progressive side of the party and then the more centrist side of the party. And whether they win or they lose, they're going to have to examine how do we move forward and align both of these sides. But now in America, you're just one or the other. I can't
Yeah,
say
that's
that I'm fully Democrat, but I'm forced to be that now. I'm not the bleeding heart liberal that some people think I am, but I'm forced to be that and play that role because of how destructive I see Trump's influence.
well. I mean, I guess
But
the other option is, you know, you just lean heavily into guns and all the rest. So, you
yeah,
know,
well, and
which is more
that's
you.
something. Well, yeah, I like guns. I own a couple guns. I don't walk around with them. First of all, that would be very illegal here in New York City. They're not in the city with me. We have a house upstate and one
Nice.
in Connecticut, so that they stay out there. But
Yeah,
and I can be honest with you, I've never once felt a desire to walk around strapped. And I have friends who, you know, live in states where you can walk
do that.
around and carry guns, and they say, "Oh, you know, I never go anywhere without my gun." I can't imagine that. I'm like, are there just roving, marauding bands of pirates who lay siege to your home? Or
Well,
every time you leave your house, you've got you know, Immortan Joe or the toe cutters coming after you, and you have to this is that was Australian references
yeah,
for
yeah,
you.
yeah,
So I still don't understand the gun culture, even though I grew up around it with my family upstate New York and what have you. I just but I think the issues we're facing, it's more than just guns.
yeah,
And it's
100%.
also about our democracy. You know, they've really, this administration has done an incredibly effective job of just tearing down, you know, the barriers between the different branches of government and turning it into a cult of personality. And then the way that people can kind of look away from, oh, but my 401k. Well, first of
Mm.
all, your 401k is in the shitter right now, thanks to the mismanagement of this virus. But also, to me, there should be a point where it's about more than money. You know, I
Hmm.
can't deny that I've done okay under the past 4 years of Trump. You know, we own some stocks and some mutual fund, not a lot, but you know, they did all right, great. I don't know if that's 100% because of Trump or not, but I would throw any of those gains away to sort of bring this country, you know, back to the sort of the moral forefront that it used to,
Mm.
maybe only in our minds that it occupied, but you know, it also helps that I travel. You know, a lot of
Yeah,
my
100%.
friends who are pro Trump, you know, they don't get out of the country. You know, they're stuck here. And so this is very, they don't realize that there's a larger world and that we have fallen so far. I tell people I'm Canadian,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and I feel bad
100%.
for Canadians that they have to claim me. They're like, wait, that guy Adam said he's Canadian? No, he sucks. Don't judge us by him. But you know that you used to feel proud to be an American when you were traveling abroad, and we've definitely fallen from that pedestal. And so we'll see what
100%.
happens. And here's the irony that if Trump wins, life goes on. I
Mm.
will imagine there'll be some looting and some whatever. People are going to be pissed, but then we're going to just move on with it. But the damage that's being done to our democracy, and let's be honest, America is a republic. It's not a true democracy, but that damage, you know, it'll take us decades to repair it if we get him out. If he stays in, I don't know that we'll ever be able to repair it. In which case, I'm moving to New Zealand.
Yeah, we were talking about that off air. Actually, New Zealand's where to be. Speaking about Canadians and speaking about, you know, politics, you
Hmm.
are possibly also quite famous for some products from fellow OT alum Black Badger. They're two rings. two rings that read respectively "fuck" and "Trump."
Mhm.
I suspect in the pejorative sense. What
Yes.
happens if he loses the election with those
I've
rings?
thought of, I've thought about this. I first of all, if anyone follows me on Facebook or we're friends, and I don't put work stuff typically on Facebook. It's just, pictures of my kids, my guinea pig, and just making fun of Republicans. But I end everything with "fuck Trump." So whether
Mm.
it is a picture of my children playing in a field, just at the end, or whatever a pithy little thing I wrote, it just says, "fuck Trump." And I've been doing this for the past 4 years, and I know that that'll have to stop. So I'm kind of looking forward to that, because sometimes I forget, and then people remind me I have to go back and put it in. It's a pain in the ass. In terms of the ring, though, which I have not taken off now, and I'm just, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to mount it in lucite or something. You
You
know,
could auction it or something. Donate some
Or
that's a
money.
thought too.
maybe you could just get James to tweak it a little bit and add like ETS to it and start a war on trumpets.
I don't know
Or
if there's
maybe
enough room
ED.
there.
You fucked Trump.
Fucked Trump.
I-
Ugh. I don't know. This is something I have to put some thought into, because you're right. This is going to come. Well, here, if he wins, then I can keep it the way it is. But if he loses,
That's
it
the
might look a
small
little
silver
weird.
lining ever.
I'm holding on to that hatred, and I guess that would seem very petty of me, wouldn't it?
Or you autocorrect it to duck
Mm.
Trump.
Yuck, Trump, because I've got the F
Duck
there.
rump.
I would duck rump. Oh my God, duck rump.
Done.
Thank you. Okay. I think we're done. Yeah, thank you for that.
That's all right. That's all right. All right, Adam. What we like to wrap a show on is
Mhm.
recommendations. So we like to hear what you're listening to, what you're reading, what you're watching. Maybe your favorite Australian watch podcast. I don't know, but what have you got for the people?
Okay, let's see. Reading. I recently got back into Isaac Asimov, so I'm rereading the Foundation series, because I'm making my son read some Asimov now too. So if he has to do it, then apparently I have to do it. So, but I would
Getting
recommend
ready
it
for
to
the TV
anybody.
show.
Yeah, well, yes. And I love Lee Pace too, although he is playing an entirely different role that doesn't exist. But ladies and gentlemen, he's an actor who's extremely handsome and tall. That's neither here nor there. So I'm rereading the Foundation series. Television, obviously, The Mandalorian.
Naturally.
Yeah. There's only one episode to go by so far, which was fantastic. But I'm very much looking forward to that. Again, it's something I can watch with my son. Although on Amazon Prime, there is a new series, sort of supernatural bent, with Nicholas Frost and Simon Pegg. So I'm kind of looking into. I forgot what it's called. I haven't watched it yet, but I have a feeling
link
that's
it up.
I'm going to binge watch. Look it up, but I have a feeling I'm going to binge watch that. And what was the other thing? So we got. Let's see. And then podcasts, of course. I only listen to the OT podcast. So
Love that.
yeah,
Love
that's
that.
pretty much it.
Good choice.
Yeah, it's just you guys.
Well,
and that's
mate,
about it. I don't
good to
think I
have you
do
on.
anything else. No, look, it was my pleasure. I know when this airs that we're going to have, a decision will be made in terms of the fate of my ring. So
That's
there is that.
very Tolkien of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw it into.
And we
Yes.
appreciate all the introductions that you're certainly going to do. I did watch Invisible Man a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago, and terrifyingly good. What a film!
Yes, no, but I will certainly reach out, and I actually owe Sean a shout out anyway, so I have to reach out to him. So I will do so right now.
Same. So yeah, feel free. Love it, mate. Well, fantastic to chat. Thank you to have you on. We'll link up everything. We'll link up your Instagram. We'll make sure we grab a link off you for the hotline to RedBar Crew, and
Indeed.
yeah, hopefully we get to see you IRL sooner rather than later.
I know. It's killing me, honestly. I never thought I would say this, but I would pay real money to be sitting center row, economy, not economy plus, mind you, economy, on a transatlantic flight right now. I just, yeah.
You typically have to pay for flights, so yeah.
Yeah. But no, but I would honestly, like, I would pay more. I would want to be that
100%.
person. Yeah. All right, gentlemen.
All right. That was, as always, a wild ride with Adam.
It always is.
Kind of like Mr. Toad's wild ride.
Everyone has an Adam story.
Everyone does. Most of them we couldn't talk about on the podcast.
Oh, no way. No way.
But I think we do. For all the things he said off air, we still do have to thank him. He's a lovely guy.
Yes, of course.
Who else do we have to thank, Andy?
Well, our sponsor for this week's episode is obviously Longines. So check those links that we put in the show notes and up on social, and treat yourself. New year, new watch, as we like to say. Of course, Inglewood Coffee Roasters still grinding those beans,
grinding away. New year, new grind.
Twitchy eye, 8 cups in, love it. Thank you to Major Tom Media, always, nice. always, since day one.
Still hasn't got that promotion yet.
He still hasn't been promoted, but maybe this is the year. We'll just keep dangling that carrot. Thank you to people listening. Thank you to the people telling their friends. Thank you to the people reviewing.
Sure.
And shoot us an email if you want to get in touch, or have your 2021 watch match made.
Nice. That's otthepodcast@gmail.com. If you want to do it in the new school way, you can do it via DM on Instagram.
Slide right in.
ot.podcast.
Boom. Alrighty. That'll do.
See you later. See you next year. Oh, hang on. What?
Wait. See you last year. What?
See ya.
Bye.